Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Texans Probe. Today, we're back with Drew, of course, and we've got a special guest today. Anish is joining us for to talk about some of the game. Um, preview this Chiefs game that I think a lot of people are excited for. Big game coming up. Big game coming up against Baltimore too. Good stretch of games here. I think in the next 6 days, the Texans have two games, so should be a lot of fun. Got to recap the Dolphins game, of course. How y'all feeling, guys?
This is what we've been waiting for. We finally get to play like good AFC football teams to
Yep.
find out who the Texans can be. And one thing we found out against the Dolphins, elite defense. Pretty much straight up. We knew that they could they already shut down Josh Allen in the past, and then they shut down Tua, Tyreek Hill. Waddle did get hurt, of course. But hey, when you have a defense like that, that's like, back in the 2000s, back in the 1990s. That's what won teams championships. So I like that. Personally, I like it, but I spent a lot of time watching rewatching the offensive film, and I didn't enjoy watching that at all. That was really hard to watch. It was hard to watch them try to run the ball. The pass concepts, credit to Miami on some of it, shut it down, and then just really, really nothing happened there. As you saw, our quarterback had 130 passing yards. So really, not ideal. You can say the game was clean for Stroud, no picks. That's cool. But really, a lot of it was just kind of Nico Collins, Stroud chemistry, stuff like that. Some off-script plays too, but the in-script stuff, progressions, route patterns weren't always looking too crisp. Nothing I would really recommend to run. Wasn't my favorite, and they're gonna clean that up. But hey, defense wins championships.
Yeah, super excited about this Chiefs
How you
matchup.
feeling, Anish?
Yeah, super excited about this Chiefs matchup. I mean, that looks like Patrick Mahomes is gonna play. They gave him some horse tranquilizer. They're just gonna have him trot out
Something.
there, and he's just gonna run circles. I already know it. It's gonna act like his ankle's completely fine, even better than before. It's gonna be stupid. He's gonna be dodged some crazy sacks from Will Anderson or Daniel Hunter. I already see it happening, but. And it also looks like they're getting some reinforcements wide receiver wise. They're getting Hollywood Brown back. Don't know how much of an addition he's going to be to their offense, but it'll be interesting to see him being in the mix. But I think our defense can hold up to the test. I mean, the Chiefs have been barely scraping by. I think I saw a stat that the Chiefs are 10-0 in one-score games, whereas the Texans are 7-4 in one-score games. It's kind of been the theme of the D'Amico Ryans' reign so far, is these all these one-score games. They just love having these heart attacks and stuff. But I think this Texans team, they're young as opposed to this Chiefs offense. They've been in these situations. Of course won two Super Bowls already back to back. And so they clearly know what they're doing, especially in these tough situations. But yeah, excited to see how our offense holds to the test of the Chiefs defense because they have a pretty good defense over there. And it will be interesting to see how we match up. But yeah, excited to talk about that matchup of among other things with you guys.
Nope, that should be a fun one for sure. Just kind of branching off what you said about the Texans defense versus Mahomes. I actually think the
Yeah.
Texans match up really well against Kansas City on that side of the ball. Um, especially this year, Mahomes is not throwing the deep ball very well, and that's kind of what the Texans are susceptible to on defense is giving up some big plays. They're very good at these down to down thing. Like they're very if you try to sustain methodical drives against the Texans, it doesn't go well a lot of the time. You have to have these big shot plays, and the Chiefs have not been very good at doing it. Even with guys like Xavier Worthy and like you said, Hollywood coming back could potentially help that. But I think for the most part, it's not necessarily the receivers. I think Mahomes has just been bad at throwing them this year. He's really been missing on a lot of these deep balls. So I don't know how much Hollywood will help. It'll be interesting to see though, because that offense has a lot of speed when he comes back with him and Worthy on the outside. So that should be a fun one. Offensively for the Texans, I don't know if they match up well against anybody at this point. Um, we can, I thought offensively there was just not a lot of good. I thought, like you said, Stroud played a clean game, but it wasn't for the most part. A lot of his success was just off script stuff. There wasn't a lot that became
Yeah.
open off of route concepts, and
Um,
probably the play that gets away from you yardage wise was the Mechie ball that he probably should have caught down the field. But even that was an
it
off
was like
script play
Mechie
too.
was running a mesh pattern, and he just kind of went
He just,
upfield off
yeah,
script, and then he dropped it.
yeah, and
So
it's yeah. So that's a play where I think like that counts as a drop in my opinion. He
oh
should have
yeah,
caught
yeah,
that
it's true.
ball,
Yeah,
which
good job.
but again, that's not like an awesome play call by like Slowick to get the guy wide open. It was just a good pocket movement by Stroud, good recognition of the zone by Mechie. Gets open there, like you said, and both of the touchdowns were off script plays to Nico.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I thought Stroud as a whole was better. I saw there were some clips where I thought he probably should have thrown this, probably should have done this. It wasn't perfect, but I thought he played probably his cleanest game in a while. As a whole, there just wasn't a lot open, and there wasn't there was some that he missed, obviously, but protection was better. We could talk about that. The offensive line change. How did y'all feel about the offensive line change?
Good. I didn't really notice any discrepancies. The only discrepancy was the stunts. That was back to being really bad again. Every single time, or I think except for one, every time the Dolphins ran a stunt, it got through and it got through in like big time. Like Stroud running for his life big time. And now it looks like Jarrett Patterson is kind of the one struggling, which is not what we wanted to see. We thought if we put him at center, that he would communicate better, recognize things better. But it's almost like he's a robot being told what to do out there because
Yeah.
he's just simply going with one guy when the guy goes here and then the other guy comes around. He just goes to the guy that's going that way. And then that's it. And then he doesn't look around. He doesn't reset his base to go help on the right side, the guy from the guy he follows. So it's really concerning. I would say it starts with him and then it just looks bad on everyone else, kind of. But if maybe I feel like if Patterson had an impact on the play, actually, showing his range, showing his IQ, it'd be a little bit better. But I don't think like anyone else on the offensive line had a bad game per se.
It's kind of interesting when you talk about they're playing like a robot because kind of the same issue that we had with Juice Scruggs at center, where I didn't think Juice Scruggs was a bad center as a whole. I thought he was good in the run game. I thought that he did some good things, but it was just the consistent dumb mistakes. I think this consistently happens when you're going to multiple centers. It kind of points back to
Not on the
the offensive
player.
line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of points back
Yeah.
to Chris
Yeah.
Strasser and the offensive
It
line
has to
coach
be.
because you can't make these dumb mistakes week in and week out. But I did want to say Blake Fisher, I was very impressed by Blake Fisher and how he performed in this game. I thought for his second career start, he played really well. Um, he gave up the one sack late in the game, but even that was like I don't know how you block that. Chop Robinson literally timed that as perfectly as you could. He kind of was offsides, but they're not going to call that really.
No,
Uh,
this good for Chop. That was a good rep, and then that play
yeah,
also a stunt came through as well. So I think that really the stunt was more so
yeah,
the sack,
100%,
anyways. And
hundred
I'm
percent.
excited for Blake Fisher. I mean,
I am too.
never gonna say I like the pick. Like, nope, didn't like the pick. Similar to Juice Scruggs. When Juice Scruggs was playing well, I was okay. There we go, Juice. You're a good player, but can't believe we took you in the second round. But hey,
Yeah,
look, the one thing about Blake Fisher that's exciting is like you can see the quickness in the short area a little bit, the power in the run game here and there. You still see the good get off they had in Notre Dame. Like so, the things from
yeah.
college are genuinely transferring to the NFL, and he's only 21 years old, so that's good to see.
I have a potential
Yep.
theory for like the protection issues. I saw this clip with Tua talking about like how long the play call he gets from Mike McDaniel. And it's like so long, it's like 20 seconds long basically. And by the time he gets the snap, they only have 4 seconds. There's no time to make any adjustments. I wonder if that's kind of a similar thing that's happening with CJ and Slowick. If the play call is just way too long, they're trying to be too cutesy with it. And by the time that Stroud sees the defense, he doesn't have ch any chance to either slide their productions over or do anything. So maybe that's why either the centers are kind of moving very robotically and not really adjusting to what the defense is giving them. I don't know if that's something that is an issue. And maybe I think another thing people have pointed out is that Stroud isn't making very many adjustments or changing the snap count at all, or just kind of keeping the same similarity. Maybe it's because our offensive line is prone to false starting pretty. So if you were to change like the hard count or whatever, it might mess up our own guys and wouldn't even get the defense. So I was just wondering if do you guys think it could be just like the play call being too long and not being able to make any adjustments on that end?
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and share
Yeah.
my screen right now and go over one of these little stunts if I can, because you kind of just see like the movement is just so like we said, there's really nothing else for them to do, because I don't know how much time's left.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when you say that though, because I think actually me and Drew talked about that earlier in the season about how they kind of were being getting to the line too slowly in certain situations. Here, yeah, is this is the
This is a relatively creative pressure call anyways. You got the double mug. You got, the one guy lurking over here. So that could be a potential seven-man pressure. But even then, Patterson's automatically going to give Dare this guy number 20. He does see that guy leave, but he still goes to the left. So my thing is like, if you see that guy leave, what are you expecting to happen? There's only one guy there. So if there's only one person there, a stunt can't happen. There's only one guy. There's no stunt to happen. But there is a stunt that can happen on this side. So I don't really understand like what other than Patterson was like, okay, I think I'm supposed to go get this guy, but he leaves. But you don't need to go over there anymore. Like go to the right, go
this
to the right.
is this
And he
is like
doesn't.
exactly what we've talked about all year with there's just an issue like awareness wise where like it's just a numbers thing. Like it's just
Mhm.
math. If two
This
guys
was
on one
my
side drop
theory
out,
too.
yeah,
My
yeah,
theory is okay. This is Titus Howard can't go to the other side, so Titus is going to have to double team with Tunsil. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. But Patterson, all he has to do is chip number 20, send him to Dare, or help Dare, and then keep his base over there to the right side. And then eventually the stunt guy will be there, and there won't be any problems. Of course, there's a little discrepancy, maybe, but that's the most outside guy. That's fine. You're supposed to let the most outside guy rush when you're outnumbered. So that's automatically fine. I do remember this play concept not being very good too with the routes, but that's for another story from another different camera angle that we might get to. But still, you can leave the most outside
yeah.
guy free, and then you can have your hot. I believe this was the play where Nico Collins ran a super deep corner. And it really, in my opinion, I'd rather have a hot on like a slant or a drag or even just a regular fade to Nico to make him the hot, and so you have a quick guy to throw because we like to throw to the blitz side too. You usually see Stroud throw to the blitz side, so Nico should have been the hot there, but he's running 20 yards down the field on a deep progressing corner, not one of those like quick corners like you see in Madden sometimes. We're talking like those deep ones too, and that was never gonna get open, so it was just a big old mess, honestly.
Mhm. No, the offensive game plan was just not great. I thought, you know, I didn't think it was like Sloke's worst game ever, but it wasn't great either. I appreciated the fact that in the second half they kind of went away from the run game, but the passing concepts, which are I think Sloke is usually good at with the passing concept, they just weren't that great this game. Stuff was not open really. I will say, I'm going to talk about this, and I'm sure I'm going to get backlash on Twitter when I talk about this, but I do think the Texans either need to re-sign Stephon Diggs or add another receiver to the receiver room because I don't think Tank Dell is a number two wide receiver, like a top number two receiver. I think he's a really good number three, but I just don't know if he does. The catch radius and stuff is kind of an issue for me. He's a great route runner, great like, and he's like I love the jet sweeps they run to him. I love that type of stuff. Just don't necessarily know if it's tough when a guy's that tiny. Um,
Though, we're not expecting him to have. We know he doesn't have the catch radius. The
yeah,
Texans know he's
yeah,
not a possession catch Robert Woods guy, but he is like I every single week I watch him run an insane route
yeah.
past 10 yards. And it's just like this guy is a great route runner.
Yeah,
So it's not really about him being a number two. For me, it's more of him being the your other outside wide receiver, the Z, the flanker receiver. He has to be
yeah,
that,
yeah,
but at the same point, you need a guy with a little bit more of a catch radius. Obviously Nico Collins is huge. He's 6'4", 225. You're not going to get someone like that
yeah.
too, but like, someone a little bit bigger. We don't want Robert Woods necessarily because he can't separate two, but I would say, Diggs is good in that role. Diggs is definitely a good example there because he's not huge, but he has good hands. He makes tough catches. We saw that, and he's a good route runner, and he's good after the catch. So there's more pluses to Tank Dell, but Tank Dell also can be an elite route runner, in my opinion, from what I've seen, just him run on the film with the way he runs his routes.
Yeah, just disappointed that John Mechie hasn't done a little bit more after the Lions game. I really thought that Lions game was going to be, the one where he kind of
Yeah, I don't
kept
know if
going
that's
and
his
he
fault
may.
though. It's just kind of like the whole team in general.
No, agreed. Um, that drop was just killer this game, but it didn't really end up mattering because you get Frank Ross, great fake punt call,
Ones
basically
I've
get the
seen in
yardage
a while
anyways.
from
But
any team. That was really cool. That was
that
really
was
cool.
cool, yeah. And even I saw the film of it. Mike McDaniel said, they were prepared for it, and when you watch it on film, they 100% were prepared for it. They just didn't know exactly what was going to come. And you
That's
still
some
were able to fool them
BS.
even if
That's
they
some
kind of
BS.
expected it.
Yeah, I think he's lying, right?
Yeah, he's
Come
just
on.
I
saying
don't
his
know.
stuff.
It does look like on film. It does look like on the film they were somewhat aware of a fake possibly coming. I just don't think they expected, the ball to kind of come outside like that. They probably expected more so in the middle of the field. But in the film, it did look different than your average punt defense to me at least.
The
So they may
defense
have
is set
been.
up differently. That's fair. But like, dude, a direct snap to one of the gunners
That's
who
what I'm saying. It's
sweep
just a
with a
really good
hand and then a
call.
handoff
That's
to
just a
the
really
other
good
one.
call. Yeah,
Oh my God. Like,
that's just a
come
really
on.
awesome call. There's
That's
not.
like
There's not.
some
Yeah. It's like what you run. It's like in Madden when you go like extra point. You fake the extra point, throw it to your lineman down for the 2 point. That's what you got going there. All right.
I'm curious what the
Let's
bag
see.
that Frank Ross has in the playoffs. I'm curious what he has in store because
gonna
I feel
have to
like
be
this is just
something
the
because
beginning.
the offense
Yeah, we're
needs to
gonna have
get
to get
bailed
some type
out
of
again.
spark. Yeah, gonna have to
Uh,
get some type of spark. Um, okay.
Jeez.
Do y'all want to go ahead and we can go into the mailbox? I
We'll
know we
do
had
the
a couple replies.
mailbox.
Good.
Okay. Here, let me share my screen. All right. Let's go in here. I know Cal had like a ton of different things that he put. Our number one fan,
Yes.
Cal. All right. All right. He said thoughts. Another game. Okay. Another game. It's blocking. Hold on. There we go. Another game with the final score not indicating how well we played. Defense was insane, especially the secondary. So many plays where Tua had nowhere to go despite time in the pocket. Harris returned fell, and Toto maybe played the best game of his career. Our secondary has really put it together lately. I agree with this. I got so much slander for the Toa thing.
So can we just talk about what you tweeted about Toa Toa in like the first
Yeah,
quarter or whatever?
yeah,
What
we
was
100% can. We can. Okay. I don't like Toa Toa. I get it that he played really well this game. Like credit to the guy. I even said he played really well this game. He still can't cover. Okay. He still cannot cover.
but
Even in this game, there was a couple
he
of
did
plays
cover in
he
this
covered in
game.
this game. He
He
did.
covered.
I tweeted that after
So what if he
I
does
think
the next week?
I
Does
think
that mean
he
he can
got
cover?
maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe
think
we're
so.
progressing a little bit here.
Consistency.
But okay, so what happened was I remember exactly what happened in this when I tweeted this. It was I think lost his run fill on it was like a second down and they picked up the first. And then they threw a screen to A Chain. He missed the tackle and I was just pissed. So I tweeted that and then I just I think it's my whole thing is that I don't think when Aziz is back, he should see the field very often. I get when you play some three linebackers, but I'd much rather have Eric Murray on the field, which I know people are just gonna disagree with, but I'd rather have the extra defensive back on
But
the
that's the
field.
that's the setup. I think it's
Um,
got to be Ward, Bullock,
yeah,
um, and Murray, and then just Aziz and Harris.
yeah.
You know,
Yep, I completely agree with that. Yeah, yeah. Toto is a good number three linebacker, but I've started to see now people want to play him next to Aziz when they're back, which I don't understand. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think Harris is a much better fit, and I think he's a better player. So that would be that's just what I would say about Toto. He did play a really good game though. So credit to the guy. That's probably the best I've seen him play in coverage this whole game or a whole year, whole career maybe.
career.
Yeah. So
We
that was an
had the
impressive game
green
for him.
dot this game. D'Amico Ryan's just literally talking
Yeah,
to him during the whole game, telling him what to do almost. So
yeah,
Yeah,
that
I mean
probably helps a little bit.
The Texans love Toa Toa. Jacob doesn't
Yeah.
like Toa Toa, but Toa Toa is going to be here for 10 years.
who do I
So
Yeah, no,
trust?
get
he'll be
ready.
here for a while.
You might as well
He'll be
buy
here
the
for a while.
jersey at this point. I mean,
That should
It's
be
gonna,
your
it's
like
gonna
fantasy punishment or something.
yeah.
Buy a
he's
total.
gonna he's gonna turn into the John Weeks where people hate on me and Drew because we said that John Weeks should be cut and we just could teach Jamal Hill how to long snap before the season.
That still
That's
would
gonna be
be so
Toto.
cool.
It
Imagine
would be
Jamal Hill
cool.
running down the field
It's
on
like
punt coverage. Come
it's the
on.
same thing as like the Chiefs using Justin Reed in kickoff. It's the same
Yeah,
idea. You just have an extra guy to go make a tackle.
Yeah.
Uh,
yeah.
I honestly like I don't I feel like long snap. Also, if there's like a rush up the middle, Jamal Hill's lining the guy up. Like you're not rushing up the middle, so um, I would like to see a team do that. That'd be kind of cool. I think it wouldn't be that hard. Like if you're like a linebacker fighting for a roster spot, why wouldn't you want to do that? Yeah, it's a fairly
In high
easy
school,
job.
our long snapper was our starting Mike linebacker.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Frank Ross, take notes. We know you're watching. We know you're watching.
It's a 6A football, baby.
All right. Offense, meh. I think meh's being a little bit too nice to the offense played. Stroud played good, clean football and took what was there on early downs. Miami's a great run defensing team, so that's why we couldn't run it. Overall, just didn't need to do much with how the defense played. That's you could say that about a lot of games, but would like to see the offense play a little bit better for sure. Even if they could get to like the 15th best offense in the NFL, they'd be a contender. The problem is that they're in like the 20s right now, so
Mhm.
um, just gotta improve a little bit. I mean, the line's starting to play better now, so maybe that hopefully that'll help. But
I would
just
say he's definitely right about
tough.
Miami being a great run D team. Like Calais Campbell just like pops on the screen. He's massive. He
It's
somehow has a
crazy
good
that
get
he's
off.
still
He's
so
like
good.
what,
Yeah,
36 years old. It's crazy. He's huge. He's long. He's strong.
he's ridiculous.
Hopefully, if he gets cut or waived, he goes to an NFC team for the
Yeah,
playoffs. Not
yeah.
not like
Go to
the Broncos,
the
Ravens, or
Lions would seem
Chargers.
like this seems like the Lions would make way too much
Yeah,
sense for
sounds like
Has
him.
to be right. It should be the Lions, but still,
Yeah,
he's still really good. Still really
yeah,
really
he's a
good.
really good player. He's been one of my favorite guys for a while. Like I remember him in Jacksonville, man. He was game wrecking us like every week. It felt like we played when he was in Jacksonville.
Crazy.
All right, some topics to discuss. Who is the Texans' defensive MVP? Who are we
Thinks it's
thinking?
Neil Hunter.
Hmm I will say I think it's I thought for until he got injured it was Will Anderson. Um, I thought he was playing great football. I still think he is playing great football. I would say Will Anderson.
Stingley, because what we were talking about, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, that they kind of really put him in cover zero more than you think. And it's not
Yeah,
necessarily zone coverage. It's more like Sting, go get the ball, go run the route for him. And so if you didn't have Derek Stingley on the field, on the team, your defense as a whole might look a lot differently. Like the completion percentage might skyrocket. You might see a lot of different coverages
sure.
too that might not work as well. So then, although yes, Hunter and Will Anderson both still got sacks against the Dolphins, but Stingley just, wrecks games too, just as much so.
100%. I mean, and Derek Stingley staying healthy this year has been probably the biggest key to the defense. The fact that he hasn't missed a game yet, knock on wood, he hasn't missed a game yet,
Yeah, that's
has been such a key.
huge.
That's been the issue with him, throughout his career. Anish, who are you thinking for MVP of the defense?
It's hard. Like you guys already took kind of my answers, but I think there's a lot of honorable mentions because like I know last year like DB depth was a huge issue last year, and having Kamari and Kalen back in the secondary for us has been huge for us. I think Kamari is like top three in like passer rating allowed or like completion percentage allowed. It's
Crazy.
absolutely insane to get that guy in the second round, and so. He might not be the MVP, but definitely honorable mention. Also, like the interior D line, like Fatukasi and like Tim Settle, also like being great pickups. I think obviously they're not MVP, but still like
Yeah,
great
yeah.
players on their own end. Yeah.
Absolutely. Like you talked about with Kamari and the reception percentage, I'm pretty sure so PFF and Next Gen kind of track it differently, but on PFF, number one is Stingley, number two is Kamari. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure that's still the exact same way.
Right.
in reception percentage for corners. So they're just both of those guys have played unreal. I mean, Kamari's been for a rookie corner, he's been unbelievably good. Like
Mhm.
especially this Miami game, the plays he was making on these screens and the run game were really impressive. He made some big tackles. That were big play saving tackles. I thought he's been awesome. Kalen's been really good. Kalen's been a lot better lately too because he had some coverage bust early in the year, but he's really cleaned it up.
Yeah,
Awesome to
another
see.
thing like that was really noticeable at USC is like he was clearly missing tackles, and then Matt Burke
Oh
even
yeah,
like on Monday or Tuesday talked about
yeah.
how they knew that and they wanted him to be a better tackler, and now he clearly is. He's not making mistakes. He was a really bad tackler, a
He's
really,
awful.
really, really bad
Yeah, he was
tackler. He
awful.
could have been a first round pick, probably should have been a first round pick if he didn't make those miss those
Yeah,
tackles that he did at
he was
USC, and
awful tackler.
they cleaned it
I
up.
mean, he whiffed on, and
Yeah.
we talked about that in the preseason when we first started the podcast. We talked about that on end because we both really like Kalen, but the
Mhm.
tackling was a big problem. Like it was noticeable on film that he could not tackle. All right, let's move on to the next one. What team would you like to face most in the wild card? Anish, we'll let you start since you went last on this one. Who would you like to play?
I know. I remember asking you this question in our last video. I mean, definitely very tough. I think Broncos seems fine just because you have a rookie QB going against and so yeah, I think that would just be the most favorable one just because rookie QB never been in the playoffs, never been played that many like games of football, like stamina wise. I don't know if they'd be able to put up to the test. I think Colts were doing good against Bo Nix until like the very end, like, and then they just fell apart after
He
that.
played really well on defense. The offense just
JT stop at the goal line, which is
yeah.
terrible. But yeah, I think
Colts
Broncos.
lost that
Yeah,
game.
Yeah.
but yeah, I
Yeah,
think Broncos.
I agree with Anish here. I think Broncos too. I'm not I don't yeah. Oh, I think he's lagging a little bit. You back, Anish? You good? Is he?
Am I back? Okay.
All right. But yeah, no, I agree. I think Broncos would definitely be. Okay. Yeah, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Oh, I think it's really lagging. Y'all just go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. So yeah, no, I agree though. I think Denver would be the team. Bo Nix. I'm not a big Bo Nix fan. I don't think I know he's played pretty well this year, but he's been awful under pressure for the most part this year. And the Texans, they're one of the top teams in pressure rate, so you get Bo Nix uncomfortable. And I think while both offenses are not good, I think the Texans have Stroud and Nico and Joe Mixon who can make plays. Where the Broncos have Cortland Sutton. Marvin Mims can make some plays, Javonte Williams, but I just think the Texans still have a more dynamic offense and a better defense. So I think Denver would be the ideal team to play.
So hang with me here. Hang with me here. If the Texans lose to the Ravens on Christmas Day, I would definitely, most definitely want the Texans to play the Ravens in the wild card. Because
Okay,
so you're telling me that D'Amico Ryan's going to let his team lose to a team four times in a span of 2 years or
that's
two
fair.
seasons? There is no way that that would happen. No way. Now, if the Texans beat the Ravens, then I would actually say the Chargers because I think that Sean Payton actually gave D'Amico Ryan some fits last year with
Yep,
Russell
yep.
Wilson. I think that Bo Nix has more experience in bigger games than Justin Herbert. If you really, really think about it, Justin Herbert didn't look very good against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Their run game hasn't looked as good as it was at the start of the year. I think the Texans would give the Chargers fits. I think Sean Payton might give the Texans fits. And then obviously, I just think there's no way the Texans could lose to the Ravens four times.
I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. I mean, I feel more confident after the Dolphins game against a lot of these teams than I did going into it, just because I think the defense can flat out just win this Texans games. Like that's where you're at this point. The Texans defense is so good they can straight up just win the Texans games. All right, favorite uniform combination. Cal, if you all know, he's a big uniform guy. We talk about this all the time in different Texas chats with him. So, what is y'all favorite uniform combo? I can go ahead and give mine because I know what mine is. Mine,
I gotta
I'm going.
think.
Mine is coming into the year. I thought I was going to be the H Town Blue one. I think the Battle Red is the best one. The helmet, that one is beautiful to me, and he's right with the all blue. The all blue is really cool too. But just something about that battle red is so sweet.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go Battle Red, but H-Town Blue had so much potential, but yeah, the Battle
It's
Red just
so
kind of blew it
cool.
away.
Yeah.
It's like the
Yeah.
perfect
I'm
color
just
of
not
red.
a Oh yeah, I'm just not a fan with the H Town Blue. I don't like the helmet. I know
Yeah,
that's kind of
I was
like
gonna
a
say
hot
the
take.
helmet
I'm not a
could have
big
been
fan
so
of the
much better,
H. I'm not a
so
fan
much
of the
better.
H. I'm not a fan
No,
of the H. The battle red helmet is just so much better.
yeah, the helmet is probably what sets it apart. Like,
I
and
think
it's
so
just not
too.
even close.
I
Yeah,
think
the helmet
100%.
has got to be like the main one, but I don't know if it's too late to like make it the main one, but um but yeah, I think that one I like the helmet on Battle Red, of course. I like the not the H-Town blue, I forgot what the other one's called. Just like the regular home blue. I think what Cal said, like the all blue one. I think it's just classic Texans and it looks pretty clean.
Texans have.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think we just did a good job in general, honestly. But other
yeah,
than the H-Town blue helmet, like, come on.
that
Also, the
helmet's
fact that
bad.
it's like that color, like H-Town blue, like just make it H-Town blue. It doesn't, you don't need to make it navy. Let's not, let's ruffle some feathers here, okay?
All
And then
right.
yeah, Tim Settle
Uh,
is insane.
I will give Cal credit on this one because in the preseason, I was confused why Tim Settle was like a guarantee to make the team because I don't think he played at all in preseason. So I was like, why are we guaranteeing him a roster spot? And Cal was like, I'm telling you, Tim Settle's he's gonna be great, and he was right. Tim Settle's been amazing. So credit to Cal on that one.
Did you have
Cal
him on your
scouting.
53-man projection? Because I'm checking right now.
I actually don't know. Let me check. Let me check. I think
I'm
I
so
did.
curious.
I think I did.
I did
But
not. Oh, I did not.
I probably didn't either because Khalil Davis. I had to get Khalil Davis involved. That's my guy. Hold
What
on.
what got me was the cornerback room. They got rid of like Ross and who else?
Let me check mine. Let's see.
Oh
They
Cam
kept
they got rid of Cam Irving, so that got
yeah.
me.
Let's see. 53. I think I tweeted this. Let's see. Okay. Okay. I didn't. I didn't. I did not either. I had I had Marcus Harris making it, and I didn't have Tim Settle. So not not the best look there. But Tim Settle has played unbelievably well. I'm genuinely shocked every week with how well he plays. And he's been incredible. It's awesome that they have him on a 2 year too, because with Nick Casario signing all these 1 year deals, the fact that he's on to a 2 year deal for $3 million is ridiculous. Um, so yeah, I mean, and like Anish talked about earlier, the defensive tackle room as a whole has been awesome value. Like Folu has been good value. I thought who is someone else? Khalil Davis was good when he was here. I know he's gone now, unfortunately. What's that? Tommy Togai or whatever his name is. He's been pretty good lately
He was
too.
on a freaking heater his first 2 or 3 games. It
Yeah,
was insane.
yeah, he's been played pretty well recently. Edwards has played pretty decently this year too. He's kind of fallen out now because Folu and he's kind of the third guy.
Yeah.
He's in
This
rotation,
was the
obviously,
least
but
amount of snaps Edwards probably played all year because of Tim Settle. We saw like, there was that one pass rushing package where it was like Tim Settle and then Autry, Edwards, or sorry, Anderson and Hunter, and that was it. It was like that over.
that's so
Yeah,
beautiful. We had talked about that at the beginning of the year when they were doing that with Derek Barnett about how when
yeah.
Autry comes back, it's going to be yeah. Yeah, that's such a beautiful package. It's so nice that
I'll
you
see
can do
that
that.
one clip with Autry just like strong arming an O lineman into Tua.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, I
Uh,
did see
that
that.
was insane.
That guy is insanely strong. Okay. Owen's back with the interesting questions. We had the what was it, the pecan one or the one earlier
Yep.
this year? And then we're back with okay, if Nico Collins got in a fight with a rabid deer, who's winning? So Drew thinks it's a deer. Okay, and to
It,
add some context, in this scenario, we're also assuming the deer is hostile. Nico has 2.5 inch Burberry sweater on with Tim's, but is without any weapons outside of the zipper on the Burberry, on the Burberry sweater. Okay, I gotta say, I gotta go with the deer here. Unfortunately, I gotta let Nico down. I love Nico. Maybe he'll put up a fight, but that deer, I'm telling you, deers will mess you up, man. Those things are. I've been pretty close to some deers, man. They're bigger than you
So
think. Eh,
that's scary.
Hostile.
I
Yeah,
think
they're
I think Nico's
But
too nice
Nico
to
can put
hurt
up a
a
fight.
deer.
Yeah, yeah. Nico is too nice of a guy. If you got like Nico and you gave him like some steroids or something, you gave him like roid rage, maybe he could put up a fight. Too nice. He'd be too nice.
Daniil Hunter could potentially
Yeah.
mess
Oh
up a
yeah,
deer.
easily.
See,
I
now if we're
take him
talking
Yeah.
over a
different
gorilla,
people,
bro. Like, I don't
yeah,
think, I,
Yeah.
he is. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah. Daniil Hunter has like a career in some type of like wrestling after if you wanted
oh for
to. He
sure.
that that guy is jacked. And then it would have been funnier if you put Aziz in this question after what happened with that situation, but
He's
let him
not
fight
going
the
out without
deer.
a fight. That's for sure.
But yeah,
Come
yeah,
back
he'll
for
put up a
seconds
fight.
and thirds.
I thought I just included this in the picture. This is such a good picture that I don't with Stingley and then you get D'Amico in the back. This is after
Nico
the
might
game
be
winning
right. It
pick.
might be one of the better plays that he's seen because I
It
mean,
was a crazy play
you
because
I
know,
that was
he hasn't
one,
really seen too much.
Tua played a really bad game, but that was not actually a bad throw. Like he put it in a good spot for Tyreek, and Stingley kind of just ripped it out.
hmm.
Um,
He did rip, yeah,
so
he ripped it out,
like that was
which
a
is
crazy
you
play.
don't really
We,
see that happen very
yeah,
often.
I was talking about this with people because people we were I was talking with some people about Travis Hunter yesterday, just when he comes into the league, but. As of right now, like there's not a corner that has anywhere near the ball tracking ability that Stingley has. Once Hunter comes in the league, he'll probably be up there too. But where Stingley's ball tracking is unbelievable. I mean, there's a lot of plays too where if he's dropped a good amount of interceptions this year too. If he just caught these, like he could be way up there in
One
interceptions. That's why
drop
he's
I
at the
can
top
think
in
of, yeah,
PBUs too.
yeah.
I actually tweeted out some Stingley stats this week that were kind of ridiculous. Here, let me find them. Um, So yeah, here. So he's first in passer rating when targeted, tied for second in interceptions, first in reception rate, tied for third in PBUs, and receptions or yards per reception in zone. He's second. So this is an all pro level season for Stingley. It's not even really debatable. I don't think it's him and PS2, and
Yeah, I don't think we actually had to worry. I was a little concerned, that he might not get it. I don't know who
it's
else
him
could
and
it possibly be.
I know
So
Marlon Humphrey's having a pretty good year, but I don't think he's playing well enough
but they
to
might just put him
garner
as the
that type of.
nickel. I think they have a
Yeah,
nickel spot in the
yeah,
all pro team,
they do. I think
which should be chilling.
he's playing well. Like Denzel Ward was having a good year, but he's not played as well lately, and he's kind of dealing with injuries. I think so. He probably won't make it. It should be Stingley. I mean, it should be him and PS2. Call it a day on that. I don't see any other guys that could really get that spot. I think it's easily those two guys. Um, that's actually a fun thing to discuss. What outside of Stingley, do you think any Texans make an All Pro team?
You could put Tunsil in the hat, maybe. I don't think he's given up a sack or
He, I think he could, but I think the false starts are going
right.
to be an issue for him. Just the penalties are going to weigh against him, unfortunately. Even though I do think he's been awesome lately, he's been really, really good. He's been good all year in pass pro and run. Been a good run blocker too. So
If
just
Daniil
the penalties.
if
There's
if Daniil Hunter gets like what 2 or 3 more sacks, or Will Anderson gets
yeah,
2 or 3 more sacks, couldn't they possibly be?
they could. That's for sure. I was thinking Fairbairn, but I think that's going
Oh
to go to
yeah.
Boswell. I think Boswell's going to get that. Um, and I know Townsend leads in Pro Bowl voting. He's not been that good. He's not going to make the All Pro team for punter. I don't really know how he's leading in the voting. I don't. I
Chiefs
feel like
fans have
he's
been
been.
voting for him because like Carson Steele had all those Pro Bowl votes. I think
Oh yeah,
that
you're
maybe the
right. You're
Chiefs
right.
fans are
Yeah.
still being nice and trying to get him in. That's
Not big. Not a lot of Matariza fans down in Kansas City, I guess.
I wonder why.
Yeah, yeah. That's up in the air, Drew. Um,
Look into that.
Anything else y'all want to add? Maybe we could talk about, we could go through kind of some predictions for the Kansas City game because I did see Andy Reid said Mahomes is playing. There's a good chance that Hollywood's going to play, so it's probably going to be maybe one of the more healthy games for Kansas City all year. Um, should Texans luck. It seems like this happens every week where guys come back from injury against the Texans, but
Weird,
uh,
right?
we don't get a
So
lot of
weird.
injury luck. It feels like we got the injury luck
No.
with Dak. That's been it pretty much. So what do y'all think is good? What are y'all expecting from this game? I think especially from the Texans offense. Like what do you expect to see from the offense? Because the defense, I think we kind of know what we're going to get. They're going to be play well. They haven't really played a bad game all year. So what are you expecting from the Texans offense?
I expect nothing anymore from the Texans offense. It's more because like the way Slowick talks in his press conferences, he thinks like nothing's wrong. He doesn't really understand the discrepancies. He thinks everything went well. He thinks that they adjusted. He thinks that he thinks they're playing to their strengths. He said their biggest strength was their explosive plays, yet I can't remember the last time they had an explosive play. Quite frankly, your strength is mixing breaking tackles and Stroud outside the pocket. I can think we can all agree with that pretty much, at least to the Stroud part. And then, I feel like Mixon is really what's been made the run game going.
Yeah.
And then we'll see. I don't know how Chris Jones honestly is as a run stopper. I'm not totally intertwined with that too much. I think the Texans will try to run the ball, and then they might
Mhm.
just have to do the same thing where they go away from it.
Mm.
But what we saw last week against the Dolphins was them trying to take a lot of deep shots that didn't connect. There were so many routes going past 20 yards, I can't even count it on my hand. I think they might try that again, honestly, just to see if it works because this defense is so good. I think they're trying to run the ball the rest of the year. That's probably what they'll try to be in the playoffs because in the playoffs, all they're going to need is their defense and then Stroud off script magic to
Yeah.
Nico,
I
Tank, and
mean,
Mechie.
the thing is, like we're talking about, if they can just hit like two big shots a game, or even just they're gonna win because the defense is so good, and they've played. Honestly, their worst games have become against bad quarterbacks. They play better against better offenses. I don't understand how this happens every week, but it just does. I started thinking. I think it's partly because I think D'Amico tries to hide stuff. He throws out different packages against these top offenses that he doesn't show against. Like in the Dallas game, for example, or against Will Levis, he didn't show a lot of these different packages. Um, they don't have to a lot of the times against those teams, but when they play against these top offenses like Buffalo, like Green Bay, like what was the other team that we talked about earlier that they play? Oh, Miami this week. They threw out a lot of different looks, and it worked. They slowed down all these quarterbacks that they've played, so it's been really impressive to see. And they're a good run defending team too. It's not just the pass game; they're good at both. They're one of the top defenses in the league. I think they are the best defense in the league. So if the offense can just be average, they can hit a couple shots. Stroud can just continue to make the off script stuff happen. Then the Texans can easily go win playoff games.
That's honestly like kind of how the Chiefs won the Super Bowl last
Yeah,
year, right? Kelsey
Mm.
didn't have an amazing year by any means. Obviously not as bad as it is, this year.
yeah.
They didn't feel like he did anything special last year. But the Texans have even more offensive talent than the Chiefs do, and the defense is playing like a Spagnola defense at this point with how they just terrorize quarterbacks. So I think it's a recipe for success. Because we don't have to worry about playing bad quarterbacks in the playoffs. So D'Amico won't fold, like he
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
does against
yeah.
the Mac Joneses and the
Actually,
Ritters and the
maybe
whatever of the world.
maybe you're right about not playing the Broncos. Let's get a better quarterback. Let's play Justin Herbert. Let's play Lamar. Let's not play
Exactly.
the bad.
Sean Payton is the guy who can wreck our season. The other guys, no, I'm not worried
Yeah,
about
you're
all
not
That's
worried
that
about Greg
personally.
Roman. You're not worried about
No,
Greg
I'm not
Roman.
worried about Greg Roman.
Todd Monken, I think, is a good offensive coordinator, to be
He's
fair.
very
But
good.
yeah,
Mhm.
no, he's a very good offensive coordinator. But like you said, if there's one thing that I do think D'Amico's really good at, it's making adjustments against a team the second time you play them. He's been very good at that. Like if they lost to a team early in the season, they don't lose to him again for the most part. Baltimore's been the only team to do it, where they lose
Defense
twice.
played good. The defense played so good in those first halves of both of those games
Yeah,
last year.
yeah.
The offense just couldn't get any momentum whatsoever, especially in the playoff game. That
Oh
was rough.
boy.
Steven
Yeah.
Sims, our boy, is the one who gave us the little juice there, and we couldn't capitalize off of that. So
Man, how many weeks in a row is Steven Sims going to be healthy and active before we just cut the guy? Yeah, Damian Pierce
when
has completely
someone
taken.
comes
Oh,
available,
by the way, I love the fact that Tank Dell's returning punts now. We didn't talk about that. I love it. Because you need explosive
so good.
plays. You need explosive plays on offense, and that's a good way to get him involved. I love that. I just want to throw that out there because we didn't talk
I'm
about
just
that,
so
but I
worried
love
he's
that.
gonna get crushed in that pile though. Like he's so small, bro. Like I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's always going to be like the thing, but at the same time, like,
Yeah,
man, he's electric. This is what I'm
No.
yeah.
saying
You
about the
gotta.
route running. He makes people miss. Like, he's so nimble, can stop on a dime, kind of
Yep.
glide. You saw him glide to the
I get.
sideline
Yeah,
there.
yeah. I
It's
get not
nice.
doing it like week one, but down the stretch of the year where
Yeah.
we're playing these teams, we gotta throw. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt. Honestly, like that's kind of where we're at.
And
We
he'll say
need
the
these.
same thing. Yeah.
We need explosive plays. We need the offense to pick it up a little bit. So any way we can get, these big plays, like we're talking about, we want to hit these shot plays. If you can get a 40-yard return, like with how the defense plays, the Texans can put up 24 in a game and just win. Like that's
Mhm.
what they've done all year. So
Mhm.
that can be such a big boost because the Texans defense is going to force some turnovers too. So that'll be such a huge boost if they can get. Or obviously, like Tank has the explosiveness to take one to the house too. He was close on a couple of these to just taking it all the way. So I think at this point in the season, maybe like down the stretch of this year, you don't do it, but in the playoffs, 100%. Like put him at punt returner, try to
Mhm.
make a big play. You saw it last year. The Texans were only in that Baltimore game because Steven Sims brought back a punt,
Right.
and Tank Dell's a better punt returner than Steven Sims. So that
Mhm.
could be a huge boost for the Texans. Trying to get good field positioning. Um, and Townsend's been better lately. So if you can win the field positioning battle, that's a huge help too, for sure.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else y'all want to add, or I think this was a pretty good episode. Honestly, I think the episodes are getting shorter because we don't have that much to talk about with the Texans as a team, man. It's like the
Things
same time.
changed.
It's the
Yeah.
same thing every week. It's an awesome
Exactly.
defense, bad offense. Until something
Yeah.
changes, there's not a whole lot to talk about. But let me
Oh
talk
no.
about good offensive line changes. I thought Blake Fisher. Oh, another guy I wanted to say that I thought played well. Irv Smith
Mhm.
played pretty well as the second tight end for the Texans. Actually, I thought he was actually making some pretty
He
good
blocked well,
blocks
yeah.
in the run game.
Mhm.
So I was impressed by Irv Smith.
Yeah, that's a really
Um,
good point. And honestly, it just kind of makes me feel weird about Dalton Schultz. Tegan Cotoriano, he knows how to block. Brevin Jordan, first of all, not a blocker at all in college, goes to Houston, learns how to block. Irv Smith goes to Houston for 4 days, and learns how to block. So I don't really understand. Maybe
it's
Schultz is
just
playing video
he's
games
just
too much.
lazy.
He's on Twitch a little bit too often. I don't really
He's just
know what's going on there
he's just
because
a
he's the
lazy
only one who
guy,
can't
man.
block.
Yeah. Well, and like the third down where Stroud basically has to throw it from like he's getting sacked, he throws it to Tank for the first down. You know which play I'm talking about?
I
Maybe
think
around a
so,
half.
yeah.
Like that one, it's like Schultz and Dare have a double team on this blitzing. I think it's a DB, and he just gets through. Like you have Schultz, you're bigger than this guy, and you have a running back help, and you just let him like completely body you. It's just a lazy, just it's just him
Yeah,
being
gotta be
lazy. He
effort.
like barely shows any effort on a lot of plays.
Mhm.
Um, but like we talked about, honestly, like I would be completely cool. Like, obviously, you can't really do it because Dalton's supposed to extended, but like Brevin, Irv Smith, Kate Stover, tight end room next year, like sign me up. I like that. Like I like the Irv Smith is an athletic tight end too. You haven't really seen it yet, but he built his career off of being a more
Exactly.
athletic tight end.
He was a vertical
Yeah.
athletic threat.
And
And
if we're
so
talking
when
about
they were
hitting
talking
some
about
deep
blocking, I was like,
shots,
oh,
yeah, and if we talk about trying to hit deep shots, you could get these. You could get a guy like Irv Smith hitting some crossers. He kind of, if he can block like he's blocking, he pretty much just fills in the Brevin Jordan. Like that's
Mhm.
what he does. He's pretty much a very similar player to Brevin Jordan if he blocks as well as he has. Um, Although I like Brevin a little bit more, but they're pretty similar guys. They're both really athletic tight ends. That can hit these kind of shot plays. And I think that would be huge for the offense because just Dalton Schultz, I'm just not high on
yeah,
whatsoever.
there's certain categories of types of tight ends that you shouldn't pay. Like I don't think you can pay like a vertical athletic threat. You can
Yeah.
also pay a guy that can do everything, like George Kittle. He can do everything. But what you don't need to pay is like a possession guy, a guy that's supposed to settle in zones, I guess. Because Schultz has been dropping balls too since he first got here, anyways. So it's like
I
that
don't know.
meme. What does he
Yeah.
do? And now, but he's also getting paid $12 million to not block and to drop balls in key moments. And so it's just so annoying, so frustrating.
Yeah, it's one of the more he's one of the more frustrating guys on this team for sure, just because it's just an effort problem with him for the most part, and he doesn't have the vertical threat to really scare you. And he's a possession guy, like you said, that just doesn't catch the ball a lot of the time. So I always worry when he hits when he tries to catch it, he's like sliding, he sits in zone and he kind of slides down. I like one of these times it's gonna pop off his chest and it's gonna be a pick. It's coming at some point. So it's just that's frustrating. Like you said, he's on Twitch a little bit too much. That's what I'm saying. Titus got off Twitch. No more Madden streams. Deactivated. That's what I want to see. Let's get it going with
Stop
Dalton
on
Schultz.
Twitch too. That's great. He got off Twitter and Twitch, and look at him. He's a team player.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Love it.
I tweeted that like when we like earlier. Titus Howard deserves so much more respect than he gets. He's willing. He makes this move. He has made this left guard move 3 years in a row. When he's paid to be a right tackle, he's a good right tackle. It's honestly like it says a lot about the guy to continuously make a move like this to inside because even in his offseason, he made it clear he does not like playing left guard. He does not want to play left guard. But he saw the left guard situation and said, you know what, I'll do it. That says a lot about the guy to me. And he deserves a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, even in the press conference, so like in a like with the reporters, he's like, I'm like a tackle, but I still like I see like yeah, like I that the offense needed help and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
he's
No, it just
still
says a
like
lot about the guy
claiming
too.
that he's a tackle and stuff, but yeah, he's a good
No,
team.
and he's right. He's better at tackle. Like he just
Yeah,
he's a better tackle. He's not wrong about that.
right.
Um, but the Texans, he's probably also the best left guard option on the Texans right now. And he said, you know what? If that's best for the team, I'll do it. And that says a lot about the guy. And
What
I
do you
think
think
that deserves a lot of
happens
credit.
next year though with like say Fisher keeps playing well, you still have Laramie Tunsil. Do you think they like either like keep Titus at left guard for whatever reason, or what do you think
Maybe
happens with that, or is there a
if
trade coming
you
in?
know
I don't even know.
Trade's possible, but I do think if Titus is okay with playing left guard, if he plays well throughout the year, then yeah, keep him at left guard if he plays well. Because I will say, for Titus, if he ends up playing left guard and he plays it well, then he looks like he's a top five paid guard in football. So if you're looking at it money wise, it looks pretty good. Um, for him. So I do think in that sense it makes a lot of sense. And I think him and Tunsil are close friends. I think they have good chemistry on that side, which is a thing that we've lacked. Of like
Mm.
the chemistry on the offensive line is a thing that we've had issues with all year. So the fact that on that side, at least you can have some chemistry there. And if Blake Fisher plays well, you want to get Blake Fisher out there. So either Titus probably six at guard or you make a trade.
Mm.
Um, because I do, and I said this, I think when we were talking about, I think Patterson long term projects as a guard more than a center. So ideally, you could get another center, like in free agency or in the draft, because I just think his skill set is better at guard. I don't think with Patterson at center, the run game is ever going to be good. He just is not a very good run blocker to me.
One of the things we saw like on film, like that one clip I posted, like if you really want him to be able to go reach that two tech head up on the guard, he can't. You should know he can't do that. So maybe they
Yeah,
do want someone if they keep Slowick, if they want to insist on running just wide zone and stuff like that, then you do need a more athletic center to have that range, to have that quick first step. Patterson's still a smart, intelligent, technically sound player, but he's not the athletic freak that the Texans seem to want there. So I think you're
no,
right on that a
and
little
that's
bit.
why
Yeah.
I think when people kind of talk about this as in like I've seen DJ Bieniemy's been big on it. The Texans miss Kenny Green in the run game. That's not true. They miss Juice Scruggs at center in the run game. That's what they realistically miss because he was a more athletic guy that could get upfield, make those kind of blocks. He was the bigger impact in the run game than Kenyon was. But the problem was that the pass protection with him in there was just bad. If Juice Scruggs can just figure out the stunts and the communication stuff, like fire Chris Drosser, get a new offensive line coach, bring Juice Scruggs, or like obviously maybe pick up another center. But if Juice Scruggs can just figure out the stunt stuff, he's a good center. He's a good run blocker at center. Just figure that stuff out. Get a new offensive line coach, and I feel good about Juice Scruggs at center.
Mm.
That's just my thing. I think Patterson's a good guard, but I just don't think in the run game with how the Texans want to play the run game, Garrett Patterson's not going to last at center. It's just because they wanted to improve the pass protection, and he does improve the pass protection a little bit, so they went with him. But honestly, the overlying issue with the offensive line is Chris Strasser. I think we've kind of got to the point where I think he's the issue more than anything. It just looks like a very poorly coached offensive line. It's because I don't think the talent's necessarily a big issue. I think they have talent on the offensive line. So
I thought it was super talented. I thought it was top 10 in talent before the season, and they
Mhm.
just haven't obviously haven't
Yeah.
played that way
yeah,
whatsoever. Nope.
When Scrubs gets back healthy, do you guys think they make another O-line change, or do you think they just roll with this combo into the playoffs?
yeah, I think they're going to roll with this. I think they're rolling with this combo. I don't see them bringing Juice back into the starting lineup unless it's for Patterson. That's the only way that he'd come back in the lineup if they put him back at center.
Mm.
I just don't see a way that they bring him back at guard if Titus keeps playing well and Fisher plays well. I just don't see them doing that because I don't think Juice was playing very well at guard either. So I think they'll roll with this group. It's probably the best grouping they can make at this point. All right.
Mini
Anything
y'all.
else? Yep. Yep. Anything else y'all want to add?
No, that's it.
All
That's
right.
it.
All good.
Well, we appreciate y'all for supporting the series as always. Thanks for Anish for coming on, of course. We've been talking about this for a while. We got someone else on. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, stay tuned. We'll come weekly. Next week will be a little bit different because they play on Wednesday. We'll have to get it out a little bit earlier for y'all. Probably, maybe Monday, Tuesday ish.
Today, if you
Yep.
can, for sure, definitely gonna get it out to you guys. Hopefully, maybe more. We'll do a little more film review, maybe
Yeah.
do a little more
Yeah, this
film review.
this this was a little bit more and that'll be a good game
Sensational.
to do film review on. That'll be a good
Yeah,
game
because
to
it's
do some
that's
film
a
review on. It's a good
two
test.
playoff teams
It's a good
and
test.
it's
Nope,
yeah,
that's it.
exactly.
100%. That'll be a good one to do some film review on. Like we said, we appreciate all the support y'all showed. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, stay tuned for the next one, and we will see y'all next time.